Do we have a meal?
Pizza will be here in a little bit.
Okay.
Well done, Mr. Speaker. Kalieli. Uli helistini ga koi sönoi sönie dealsin gastani. Siga nesna sa you walked to Scotland and the gaji dead on. Sa guasui. Staji gilo stan elen the gadahan. E dealu sig. Koho sönie dealsig. Uli helis desert losa. Die zila wiki. Hesti sauak to deal with sig test. Aseskin sawu unikalstanika. Let's all go to the Lord in prayer, and you pray in your own way, and He'll hear your prayer. Our Father and our God, we come before Thee this evening as we gather together one more time. Your name we lift up. For your many blessings that you have bestowed upon us, we say thank you. We thank you for the council people that are here, that you have brought this way. And our chief and our assistant chief, we say thank you, Father. Just keep your hand upon them in everything that they do say, to glorify you, and Father, above all, for the people that are here. We thank you. No one who called the Yosalena skianesna. Nihi is a tayosa. Iskeyo ni to hesti. Ale tesco ini says to a dear to tanito eh. Kohito tan close. Tan close is a casons kukahikasas testi. Hesti goes to uzo set unde tohtan the donut loska eh. I says ni with these gone nasty. So do lasi dollar. Ulosas needs a lielice. Father, we just say continue watching over us. Bless this day, and we give you all the praise, the honor, and the glory in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Well done, Harmony. This time we'll do a roll call. Shelley?
Yes, sir. Keith Austin.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Honey?
Julia Coates. Here. Sean Crittenden.
Honey.
Joe Deere.
Honey.
Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Kanan Duncan.
Honey.
Rex Jordan.
Here.
Daryl Legg.
Here.
Wes Snowfire.
Honey.
Dora Petskowski.
Here.
Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw. E.O. Smith.
Here.
Janice Taylor. Here. Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
This time I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. Dropping down to our State of the Nation from our Principal Chief, Chuck Hofska, Jr. Chief.
Well, Mr. Speaker, a great honor once again to appear before the council here at your February meeting. Just an update from our last visit in this chamber. In front of you should be some items from our Cherokee vote effort. We've rebranded the long-standing effort to get out Cherokee citizens to vote, to register to vote, to make sure that our voice is heard. So we want to make sure council members had the latest, and that comes from our Government Relations Department, which does a good job year in and year out of registering our citizens to vote. On the 26th of February, we will have Cherokee Day at the state capitol. It'll be a bit different this year because construction at the capitol means that we will not have the presence we've had in the past in terms of a resource fair, but certainly we will still be at the Capitol talking about the issues that are important to the Cherokee Nation, and I always encourage each of you, if you can, to come to the Capitol for that day, even though it will be a scaled-down version this year due to the construction. A week or so ago, we established a 7-member work group of experts within the Cherokee Nation and one with CMB to study hemp and cannabis growth as it relates to fields such as commerce, healthcare, and agriculture. I know that we all get questions from time to time about what the best strategy is for the Cherokee Nation, what sort of businesses we should be in, what effect does this have on our health system, and how can we knock down barriers of our citizens to engage in what everyone else gets to engage in terms of commerce, in terms of better health. So we are going to study it, and I know, Mr. Speaker, and all the council members, you all want, as I do, the facts, you want analysis, and that's what I have asked this work group to provide. And so by the end of May, I expect for the council and the executive branch to have a report so that we can all have something to refer to and to plan in the future in this area. Last week we started the annual distribution of heirloom seeds to our citizens across the country. We deliver about 10,000 seed packets a year. That number, Mr. Speaker, seems to go up every year. That certainly is a good thing. This year is particularly noteworthy because the Global Seed Vault in Norway invited the Cherokee Nation to deposit some of our seeds into that vault, which unfortunately has the name of the Doomsday Vault. It is designed to make sure that the world has a food supply in the case of a worldwide catastrophe, but I do think it says something about the Cherokee Nation that we have been invited to contribute seeds as peoples around the world have been asked to do. Cherokee Nation, we have launched the 2020 Census Campaign. We'll be marketing the campaign, urging our citizens to complete the census completely and accurately. We know that a better count, a more accurate count, helps our citizens, particularly when it comes to federal funding. We estimate that for every Cherokee citizen that does not get counted, it's a loss of about $50,000. And I don't think I could underscore that number strongly enough, that every citizen that does not participate cost his fellow Cherokee citizens in terms of programs and opportunities $50,000. So we do not want to leave those funds on the table. And frankly, it's important to be counted in this country, and that's a worthwhile effort, and we appreciate the council's ongoing support for that effort. This week is our Valentine's for Veterans effort. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs and I, along with the Deputy Chief, First Lady, and others, went to the VA to deliver cards that were made by some of our young people and some of our elders, and I believe in your communities you've done the same thing. I know Councilor Austin in Claremore, there's an important event that goes on at the VA facility there. Another good sign, Mr. Speaker, that we are making our vets a priority. I will be returning to New Orleans in actually tomorrow. We'll have a delegation to go to the keel-laying ceremony. That is essentially kind of a topping out type ceremony for the U.S. Navy ship, the USNS Cherokee Nation. Of course, eventually there'll be a christening, but on Wednesday of this week there will be the keel laying, and I'll be honored, certainly, Mr. Speaker, to witness that. I mentioned this before, I believe, but I was in New Orleans recently for arguments before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, as were some members of the council, some members of the executive branch. I just want to impress upon the council and reassure you and the public that we are working aggressively to defend the Indian Child Welfare Act. It's important to Indian nations in this country and the Cherokee Nation that law withstand, frankly, the assault on its constitutionality. I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, we had a very good team, which was comprised of some other tribes. I feel good about our efforts, and I feel good about the outcome. Mr. Speaker, of course, we always remark upon those we have lost in the last month, so I'll read the list and would invite the council to add to it. Vernell Adair of Stillwell, Francis Adams of Siloam Springs, Alan Lorinda of Veneta, John Baldridge of Salisal, Pamela Baldwin of Salisal, Mariah Locust Ballard of Vian, Faye Beaver of Stillwell, Charles Courtney of Tulsa, Cheryl Dawes of Tahlequah, Jennifer Dry of Tahlequah, David Embry of Okmulgee, John Glass of Collinsville, Betty Hare of Tahlequah, Trayson Cackley of Veneta, Georgia Kent of Stillwell, Johnny Kidd of Glenpool, Jerry King of Tulsa, Mark Lawhead of Tahlequah, John Licklider of Veneta, Betty Malone of Chelsea, Melanie McGuire of Tulsa, Juan Paredes of Tulsa, Phoebe Pettit of Salisaw, Marcus Pilkington of Muskogee, Jeffrey Plemons of Pryor, Cindy Raymer of Tahlequah, Mildred Raper of Grove, Katrina Rice of Bartlesville, Michael Ross of Pryor, Raymond Sanders of Stillwell, Robert Sears of Tulsa, Shelley Sparks of Tahlequah, Phyllis Stacks of Tahlequah, Larry Swake of Pryor, Roy Tidwell of Stillwell, a longtime Cherokee Nation employee, Stephen Vann of Stillwell, Tambrilla Vinson of Salisaw, Carla Wallace of Miami, Melissa Washington of Sand Springs, Violet Washington of Tahlequah, Jacqueline Watson of Dallas, Barbara Wycliffe of Pryor, and Mr. Speaker, any additions from the council?
Shirley Haney, Warner.
Robert Pruitt of Stillwell, one of my dad's longtime friends. I've known him as Bob Pruitt, and I was going to mention Roy Tidwell. I was on the summer youth back some years ago, and he was my. He'd kind of come in and check on me, and every now and then there were good things to say about me, and every now and then there wasn't. But Roy was always fair. He happened to be a good neighbor, but I wanted to mention him also. Chief had some missionaries down doing God's work. Mm-hmm. Elder has passed away while they were down, and their family has gone through some other bad things while they were down, and I appreciate you guys looking into it, but I got word that she did pass away, so if it's body, keep that family in your prayers as well. It's Miss Phillips, I believe her first name's Charlene, and I think she was from Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
She's been hospitalized here since November, though. So, well, thank you.
Certainly.
Keith Proctor and Alan Tennyson of Jay, and Mike Ross from Kenwood.
Jeannie Seven Star of Bellefonte.
Ruby Hernandez of Stillwell, and then also you mentioned Georgia Kent. I just want to mention she was a very long-time employee of Cherokee Nation as well.
Mandy Bull Johnson of Salisaw.
All right. Well, Mr. Speaker, the council would join in a moment of silence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That concludes the State of the Nation for this.
Good report, Chief. Appreciate you. Okay, Cherokee Warrior Veterans Awards. Brian Warner, Deputy Principal Chief, and S. Joe Crittenden, Secretary of Veteran Affairs. Two fine young men there.
Well, excuse me. Honorable Council, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present to you two fine veterans this afternoon. We had a couple others, but we've had some changes in plans, but we're going to honor these fine gentlemen here. And our first Medal of Patriotism Award for a Vietnam era veteran goes to Venice J. Hildebrand. Come on down. Mr. Hildebrand was drafted into the Army in 1970. He was sent to Fort Lewis, Washington, and then to armor training in Kentucky, then on to Fulda Gap, Germany, stationed with the Army 114th Armored Cavalry Division patrolling the communist border. The main purpose of the 114th Cavalry Division patrolling the border was to keep the peace with the Allies. Mr. Hildebrand returned stateside to Fort Jackson, South Carolina in 1972. He was... What's that? He was honorably discharged as an E4 specialist. Decorations, medals, ribbons, and badges include the National Defense Service Medal, Expert Rifle Badges M16, M14. Mr. Hildebrand, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for your service to our country. And I've got, yes, Councilman Duncan, I had you on there, sorry, sir, and then Miss Taylor.
This is her best friend.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. This is his break. All right, everyone look here. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Cherokee Nation for honoring the veterans. And you know, a long time coming, like I was saying. For me, I didn't, you know, it's, you know, I didn't think I'd ever receive anything like this, you know, which I didn't look forward to it. You know, I'd already done my part, I thought. And, you know, I just thank for the appreciation that you give us, you know, for what we've done, and we won't be forgotten.
That's right.
That's it.
If I could ask Councilman Keith Austin to join us down here. Our next Medal of Patriotism Award, Vietnam War era veteran, goes to Mr. Danny L. Stanley. Mr. Stanley entered the Army in 1967 and was sent to Korea with the 7th Infantry Division. While in Korea, his unit was called out numerous times to serve at the 38th Parallel DMZ. Mr. Stanley and the 7th Infantry Division were always on standby, ready as the North Koreans crossed over into South Korea. His unit was also sent to the DMZ on standby when the North Koreans took over the ship USS Pueblo in 1968. After Mr. Stanley returned stateside to Fort Lewis, Washington, he was honorably discharged as a Private E2. Decorations, medals, ribbons, and badges include the National Defense Service Medal, Sharpshooter Badge M14, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal. Mr. Stanley, on behalf of a grateful nation, sir, we thank you for your service.
Sir, here's a ribbon that goes with the medal. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
He also is a great maker of flutes. So that's not typically on a veteran's resume.
No.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
That's it. Come in. I brought a Navy guy with me.
There he is, right up there.
You want to come down?
Come down here, Roy.
What kind of boots do you make, sir? Are they river cane or?
Cane floats, you want floats both.
Okay. And you play them too, I suppose? A little bit?
He's modest.
Yeah, Betty plays good.
All right, ready? Look here. 1, 2, 3.
I'm kind of like the other gentleman. I wasn't expecting to receive something like this.
Mr. Speaker, that concludes our presentations. I will say, I'll share a little something with you today. When we were at the Veteran Center in Muskogee, you just never know how much it means to tell someone from the Vietnam era, welcome home. And we saw that on display, but we also got to visit with a gentleman, and he shared his testimony of his relationship with Jesus Christ and everything, and I tell you, it was so moving at that time, but it meant a lot to just see the look on this fellow's face of knowing where he was going, and grateful for everything that everybody's done. So everybody that you see the veterans during Valentine's Day, I know it just, like one of the cards literally was it had a sticker on there, and it was had a dog and a little kid, that it put together. But it meant so much to the individual, and they actually had a dog in the room with them. So, and it's just those little touches that we don't understand, that the good Lord, He already knows. He goes before us. So with that, thanks be to God, to each one of you, and I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Deputy. Okay, down to unfinished business, none pending. Committee reports. Monthly report, Cherokee Nation Business, CEO Chuck Garrett. Always good to have Mr. Garrett with us.
Well, thank you, and it's always good to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all and representing the over 7,000 hardworking men and women at C&B. Regarding December financials, December profits were in line with anticipated results, with the gaming sector continuing to hold its premium fair share in its competitive market, and the federal contracting gaining momentum from their prior year contract wins. With the council's support, C&B successfully closed our new enhanced line of credit with a big, robust bank syndication group. Now, as you all know, we don't have any debt outstanding, but we do, just in the name of prudence, want to have sufficient line of credit so that in the unlikely event that there's some catastrophe, we were able to take care of any obligations, such as payroll, that we may have. But we really appreciated your support in that, and the bank group that was part of the syndication was really quite impressive. A few other little current events at C&B. The Cherokee Nation Film Office just wrapped up a very successful week at the Sundance Film Festival. They were among an elite group of sponsors presenting the first ever Indigenous Filmmakers Lounge at the Sundance Film Festival. They are expanding on a long-standing history and tradition of the Sundance Indigenous program. The Indigenous Filmmakers Lounge contributes to the rich legacy of support for Indigenous voices, with a focus on narrative change and creating opportunities for Native peoples to build sustainable careers in the film industry. Also, the Oklahoma's leading wedding experts will converge at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tulsa on Sunday, March 1st. The Hard Rock Tulsa Wedding Show features more than 60 vendors from across the region, ready to showcase their bridal services. In 2019, Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tulsa won a record 8 of the Tulsa World's 2019 Best in the World accolades, including the best wedding venue and the best banquet facility for the second year in a row. Our C&B volunteers continue to make a real difference, proud tradition of our community involvement, including leading the way is the C&B Community Involvement Program. The C&B employees recently helped make 756 senior citizens meal packs at the Community Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma in an effort to help fight hunger and feed hope. This time of year is always a challenging time for our employees and our guests with the flu bug roaming around, and this year in particular with the coronavirus concerns across the globe. We've taken extra precautions with our guests and our employees to make certain that we are vigilant in making everything clean and with plenty of hand sanitizers floating around so that we minimize the opportunity for illness to spread. We're monitoring the coronavirus like all of us are, and making sure that we are being diligent in fighting that, but also being aware of any threats to the business as a result. Speaking of threats to the business, I don't want to get out of my lane here, but I was really honored to attend the Oklahoma Indian Gaming Association's leader meeting last week, and it was very gratifying to see the solidarity among the tribes. And I know Chief Hoskin and General Hill are leading us ably there, and it was really good to see that solidarity among the sovereign nations. Mr. Speaker, that would conclude my report. Happy to try and answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for our CEO? Good report. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we'll drop down to old business, none pending, new business. Out of Rules Committee, we have confirming the renomination of Michael Doublehead, and he's here, and also Steve Wilson and this is to the Tax Commission. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to renominate these two guys. So I would ask for a motion at this time.
I make a motion these to be brought forth for approval in toto.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Gentlemen, stand up and congratulations. Anything you might want to add?
I'll let the old gentleman go first.
Mr. Steve?
Well, I appreciate serving on the board. I have served on it quite a while now, and I appreciate everything that you've done and we've done. So, and Sharon, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I'll echo his sentiments. It is an honor and privilege to serve the Cherokee Nation. And again, I appreciate what you do each and every day for the citizens and make it a better life for them. Speak the word, it was several years ago when you appointed me to the Cherokee Nation Industries Board of Directors, and I've got one question. I've aged since about 1996, yet you haven't changed. So, whatever water you're drinking, would you please send some?
Thank you. There you go. Thank you, sir. Keep up the good work. We will take items 3 through 8. So I'll need a motion to, these are all surplus donations to our various communities. Got a motion? Second. And a second. Any discussion? These items 3 through 8. These are all donations surplus. Okay. Need a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Now we'll do item number 9. Councilor Taylor, you want to take that?
This is an act amending Legislative Act 14-19, authorizing the comprehensive capital budget for fiscal year 2020, Mod 2, and declaring an emergency, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor Duncan, you want to take the last one?
Sir, this is an act amending Legislative Act 15-19, authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2020 Mod 5 and declaring an emergency. I put that in the form of a motion. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. And we have a item we need to add. I need a motion to amend.
I'll make a motion to amend.
Motion to amend is out of Community Service Committee. Got a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor Shambaugh, you want to take that?
This is a resolution authorizing the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, to revise and update the Cherokee Nation's inventory of tribal transportation facilities. Put that in the form of a motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Wow, that's quick. Before we get into announcements, I have someone I want to introduce. Beth, would you please come to the podium? This is Beth Brown. She's a graduate of a school, Muldrow High School. She's all-state in the basketball and attended OU, and avid golfer, and she has her own business. So give you 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Speaker.
She's a tribal member.
Yes, and as a tribal member, it's an honor to be here in front of the council. My claim to fame is that I actually was inducted into our high school Hall of Fame with Speaker Byrd, so it's an honor to share that with him. So anyway, thank you. Growing up in Sequoyah County, I grew up as the daughter of a basketball coach, so I have coaching in my blood. Fast forward to playing for coaches at University of Oklahoma, where I played golf and sat on the bench. Fast forwarding to actually coaching in college. And so since that point, I've worked across the country for a nonprofit. And more recently, why I'm here is I started my own business, as Speaker Byrd alluded to, called Team Arias. And Arias means golden in Latin. And that's important because what I do is really help everyone, individuals, teams, and organizations achieve their own gold standard of performance. And so now that I have my own business, I can stay close to home in Oklahoma and Eastern Oklahoma. And so I just appreciate and I'm honored to be able to share with you all. I would love to be able to have opportunities to learn more about things you're doing and how I can better serve the people of the Cherokee Nation. So thank you for this moment. There is materials back at the council office if you'd like more information. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Wow, you can tell she's played sports. She watches the clock. Didn't go over. Okay. Any announcements to my right? EO, don't you have a community meeting?
Yes, the last Thursday of this month on the 27th at Black Gum Community Center. Starts at 6:30. Come up there, we'll feed you, have some good speeches.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Buzzer?
Yes, I want to congratulate some people, and this will take just a second. Last week in Washington, D.C., there was the National JOM Conference. Had the team from Delaware County, the JOM Conference went to that, and there's Christy Hampton as part of the JOM committee, and they were recognized as Region 3 as the outstanding program of the year. So that's quite an accomplishment from our small town, rural towns in Oklahoma. The other thing that happened at this conference, and keep in mind this was a national conference, we had a little Cherokee girl from Jay won second place in the art competition, so that's quite an accomplishment for our kids. So I just want to let them know that we're thinking about them and we do appreciate their work. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor. Anybody else? Councilor Coates?
I just want to announce that there are at-large community events in Texas coming up on the 7th and 8th of March. We will be in Richardson, Texas on Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then on March 8th at Bedford, Texas from noon to 4 p.m. So everybody in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, please come out for these meetings. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody here to the left? Dora?
I am going to have a community meeting on February the 24th at the Nowita Community Center. I believe Chief and Deputy will be there, so come out and we'll feed you and have some door prizes. Thank you.
Good. Anybody else? We good, Chief, Deputy? Any announcements? We good? Okay, I need a motion, Agiosi.
Move to adjourn.
Got a motion, got a second?